Welcome to Feeling Asian, a podcast where two Asians talk about their feelings. I'm Young B. Mayer.
And I'm Brian Park.
I have fucking food poisoning. I'm literally holding a bucket because I might fucking hurl. It's the sickest I've ever been in my life. But we're going to do this because Brian's calling in from France, so I felt bad, so I didn't want to cancel.
Feeling Asian, you know. There's two sides to every story. And I'm living my best life over here.
I'm dying. It's coming out both ends.
And this will be out in 2022. So let's hope that this isn't an omen for the next year. And then I hope that this will be an omen for the next year. Starting off strong.
I mean, you know what? This is great because of COVID, everything's canceled, so there are no parties. So who cares? I'm just going to be sitting at home in my PJs for the next few days, throwing up into a bucket.
Anyways, before we introduce our guest this week, Youngmi, do you want to get through some Patreon shoutouts?
Yeah, I feel like this is going to make me funnier, if anything.
This is literally your Jordan flu game right now.
Yeah, I think this is like, I'm one of those people. When I'm sick, I'm funnier.
Unprecedented performance by Y.M. Mayer. Just so many callbacks, so just riffing off the top of the dome, just crushing.
Oh my God.
I'm ready.
If you hear me throwing up into the bucket, that's part of the bit, okay? Yeah, I'm ready.
So, Youngmi, for your sake, and so you can take care of this food poisoning, let's breeze through this episode. So, listeners, happy 2022. First and foremost, thank you for supporting the podcast. If you want to do so, you can do so on Patreon at patreon.com/feelingasian. And check it out. You can read the benefits, but any donation amount gets you a shout out on the podcast. And without further ado, our first shout out goes out to Elizabeth Carson.
Elizabeth Carson sounds like the name of somebody I know, but that name is just like, so, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I probably, like, it's just like such a name that you forget.
That's
no offense.
That's Youngmi's first 2022 food poisoning prediction.
I like know this person. I've never met an Elizabeth that I don't like.
All right.
But I can't
Elizabeth,
remember
thank
them.
You for supporting. Our next shout out goes out to Nicole Ams. Nicole, you are the most liked substitute teacher at the school you teach at.
Nice. Who doesn't like the substitute teacher though? Because they're always rolling in that TV, you know?
Yeah, she's playing Succession in the econ class.
Wow, a cool substitute. I like it.
Next shout out goes out to Jaquan.
I feel like this person is really into Bitcoin. Right?
Yeah.
I want them to explain Bitcoin
NFTs.
to me. Unfortunately,
Jaquan, you are either really into crypto or you're a really bad battle rapper. It's one of those two.
Maybe both. Why not both?
Why not both?
Okay, who's the next
shout out goes out to Maddie OC. I
think
it's O'Connor.
O.C?
It's like O apostrophe C.
O.C.
Irish vibes.
Wow. Irish Korean. Irish Asian
Irish
again.
Korean.
You know there's Asians in Ireland, right? This person's
Yeah.
an Asian Irish person. That's
this person's
so cool.
probably a model.
An Asian Irish model.
Happa with Irish freckles.
I'm also part Irish. I like this person.
And our last shout out goes out to Janelle.
Janelle is also Irish. Irish
Janelle's
Asian.
also Irish. Janelle.
Yeah. She's a Scottish Asian. You know for a fact that there are Asians in Scotland, and you know that there's some Asians out there with a Scottish accent, which is Janelle.
Oh,
no, but seriously,
listeners, you're in for a treat. You know this episode is going to be good when our Patreon shout-outs are, there are Asians in certain part of the world that you wouldn't expect, right?
Was I funnier than usual? I feel like I was, right? I want to get food poisoning more often. I wasn't. Sorry. Sorry to let you down, everyone. I got food poisoning for no reason.
I think so.
Food poisoning in vain. I want to know if you're a Scottish Asian person, please DM us. I want to know what your life is like.
All of you, thank you for donating to the podcast. Your support means so much. And Youngmi, I think it's time to introduce our guest.
I'm so excited for our guest. Our guest is such a hilarious, amazing comedian and just all around cool person. Also, this person is Asian, but not Scottish, unfortunately.
They're the funniest stand-up comedian in New York.
In New York City.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And listeners, we're giving you a peek behind the curtain. We actually already recorded with this guest before, but his audio stopped recording a minute into it, so we're doing this again.
Yeah, it would have been nice if that didn't happen because I could have just had food poisoning in peace. Fucking sharded in 3 pairs of underwear today. Yes.
Listeners, give your ears to Wilfred Padua.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for that intro. That was great. I love it when someone brings me up saying I sharded.
Well, no,
also,
you are the cause of her sharding. Even worse.
It's your fault.
Yeah. I know.
Wilfred,
I did
because
it
of
too.
you.
Wilfred, do you think I was
fight?
Yeah, what's wrong with your face?
You have
What
a
happened?
busted
Okay.
lip.
Yeah, so I just got some new cats 3 days ago, and one of them took a swing at me, and I didn't bob fast enough. So it got me good. It's going to leave a scar on my face.
Wow.
Yeah. So listeners, just to let you know, I was hot last week. I was a hot piece of ass when we recorded last week. But this time, it's going to be like maybe 2 months before this heals. So...
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually think it makes you look hotter with that busted lip. There's a story behind
Yeah,
it.
you're
Really?
probably going to get hit on a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. You know some...
Oh, is it because I'm attainable now? I was too hot last week. But this week I'm human again.
It's the scar. It's the scar on the face theory. You know, some guys they have like a broken nose or something that adds a character.
Girls think it's hot.
I think it's hot until I tell them that it was from a cat. My story isn't that like I saved someone from from a terrorist or something. It's a cat swung at me and I let it happen.
Your reflexes are slower than a cat.
Well, I wasn't in fight or flight mode. I was just petting it on the first day that it got here, and then it went after me, and I was in a loving mentality until that happened. Didn't realize the cat was not with me.
Wait, was the cat? Did it like attack you in a?
No, go on, Youngmi.
Oh no! Well, I literally am so lost. I'm just holding on to dear life here. What were you saying? I feel like Brian was about to say something funny. I was just gonna ask like a stupid cat owner question. What were you gonna say, Brian?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was just gonna say that. Take a note. That's a note for our listeners. That's a note for our single female listeners.
What?
Wilfred is in a loving mood, and the outcome is that the cat, fucking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what I'm saying either.
I'm usually always in a loving mood, and if you take a swing at me, I'm still going to take care of you, unfortunately.
You're okay with physical violence.
You're okay.
Yeah.
And he's single.
These cats have been abusing me. They've been I've got 2 now.
Okay.
And they've been really, one pushed me down the stairs.
What? Where'd you get these cats?
They've been real... from a friend.
Blink twice.
I don't want to mention who it is. My other hand is tied behind my back. But I don't know. I think we'll figure it out. Other than that, they also the cat also peed on my couch. So other than those 2 huge mishaps, I think we'll be fine.
Life is good. Damn. 2022 off to a hot start. Youngmi has food poisoning, and Wilfred is just getting absolutely manhandled by this cat.
You guys are listening to this in the future. I recorded this in 2021, so So let's just note that I like how this year is going out. I'm so sick of it.
And yesterday I went to my friend's place because I was like, the cats were scaring me.
Oh wow!
I went to my friend's place to hide.
This doesn't sound normal, Wilfred.
Yo, bro, what are you doing? Mind if I come through? Yeah, what's up? Is everything
so
okay?
I hid there for like 3 hours.
You hid there.
Nice.
Just have 2 abusive cats that keep beating me.
Nice. Let's get the show
I'm single
on
and
the
manly,
road.
all right?
Wilfred is single.
Yeah.
Note that. But Youngmi, how are you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling hungover. Oh, not hungover. I'm feeling fucking food poisoned. Do you know what it was? You want to hear what it was that got me?
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
Do you know what munge is?
Is it,
I'm asking Brian.
I know it's a weird one. It's a weird one. It's like sea cucumber.
I think in English it's called sea squirt. Oh man, I'm getting like the chill. Sorry. It's like a sea squirt and I ate it raw. And it always tastes weird. So I was like, there's nothing wrong with this because it tastes weird.
Yeah. It's
If
one of
you've
those
had it,
sushis
yeah.
that like 70-year-old Korean men like.
So if you've had it before, it has a natural defense mechanism. That's like, it makes your mouth a little numb. Have you had it before, Wilfred?
No, Filipinos don't seem as adventurous as the other East Asians in eating.
I'm
like we
guessing
cook
this.
our food.
I was like the only person that ate it. I went with my friends and I'm the only person that ate it. Anyway, if you've ever had it, it like numbs your mouth because it has like a natural defense mechanism.
Uh-huh.
Oh god.
And it's like,
So
Is
you
that
don't
part
even-
of the is that part of like the what makes it enticing?
yeah, because it's like, it has a weird like metallic attack taste. Anyway.
Okay, so it's like licking a battery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That's exactly what it's like. Wow, I got my point across. Points to me.
Damn,
But
hey,
also,
are you okay?
I'm fine. You know what? Also, I have to say, how am I feeling though emotionally? I mean, really, to be honest, kind of depressed. I mean, this is a weird time. I know Brian's having a lot of fun. Brian's in France, everyone. If you're watching the YouTube, you have to check out where Brian is sitting. It looks like
what the hell?
Madeline's library.
You look like there are vampires asleep next to you.
They're all
Guys, the lighting isn't that great in Europe. It's part of its charm.
Why are you dressed like that?
Yeah, I told him earlier that he's dressed like he's being introduced to some parents.
Yeah.
No
I don't want to bring
comment.
your...
When in Europe.
Brian went to Europe, but immediately his entire personality is, I've been to Europe. Like one day in. Yeah, but I'm feeling, I don't want to like let Brian down because I know he's on vacation, but like I'm really depressed and I was like kind of like, it's kind of scary because I was like hanging out with my friends yesterday that have restaurants and they, in this time when things close down, that they get really affected really hard, and like this is like their busiest week, basically the busiest 2 weeks, and all the reservations canceled, so people are really struggling. So it's like, it's kind of depressing and sad feeling. But I think the thing that's like making me feel really scared is like last time when it was March 2020, it was like, oh, it's gonna be shut down for a week, and then it was like 5 months, 10 months, and now it's still going on, and like that sort of feeling like, oh, is this all gonna shut down again for the next few months? And I know it's not gonna happen like that again. I mean, at least I hope not, but like that's how I feel. That's what I'm scared of. That's how I'm feeling. How are you feeling, Brian?
I'm feeling pretty Euro right now, No, so listeners, I am currently I'm in Europe right now, visiting my girlfriend and spending some time with her family for the holidays. And how am I feeling? Overall, I'm feeling great. I don't know. I feel bad for saying that because I know you have a vomit bucket right in front of you, but Yeah, and listeners, if you're wondering, I have taken like a million COVID tests, and I am negative, but yeah, overall, I just feel really grateful. Just I don't know, everyone's just been so nice here, and to have my girlfriend's parents to extend an invitation and provide this hospitality has been really really nice, and just to be able to travel. I think this is the first time I've traveled in over a year, and I do feel a little bad saying it, especially in this time when people are on edge with COVID, but it does feel nice to just be in a different environment and experience some culture. And
you don't have to apologize for don't apologize for having a good time.
Yeah, so that's how I feel. I'm reminded how I'm remembering why traveling is so great. And
oh my God,
I know I'm turning into Bella Hadid.
Wait.
Young man, you know Bella Hadid? I'm like, I'm 2 days in here and I'm already like, yeah, everything is so beautiful, and just the coffee and the croissants is so great.
Wilfred, have you seen that clip? I don't know if Wilfred saw the clip. Bella Hadid was like, there's a clip of her in France, and the reporter's like asking her a question, and she's like, "Oh, it's so beautiful, non?" Like that. And then there's a clip of her.
All the great France. It's just a great time.
And she's like doing like a weird.
And then they juxtapose that with her at a sneaker store in LA, and she's like, "Oh, if homeboy comes up in these, he's gonna get it."
I want to see her go to the South with a Southern accent. Get kind of racist with
it. That's Brian right now.
Brian, what's the most European shit that you've done thus far? Other than staying in a castle.
I just had...
You're literally in like a castle.
No, it's great. I had some foie gras for lunch.
Ooh la la.
Europeans love torturing animals.
No, the one thing I have noticed though is it's juxtaposed with like, because it has me thinking. Like, I watched this documentary with my parents kind of recently called American Factory, and just to sum it up really quickly, it's about this Chinese businessman who buys this old automobile factory and hires a lot of people from the local community, but then he's complaining about how the Americans have a poor work ethic, and if they just did things more like they're Chinese, they would just be more profitable. And it's this tug and pull between like Asian working values and American working values, and I'm like sensing that here in Europe, where a lot of things are just closed and they're on holiday, and the hours are kind of arbitrary, and it's pervasive throughout the culture, where everyone sort of just accepts like, well, that's life, like you enjoy your time, and you take holidays, and I contrast that with what I know about Korea, and it's a different sort of comfort there, where everything is like automated and like really efficient, but at the same time everyone works incredibly hard, and that's so yeah, I guess in that sense I've been sort of pensive just thinking about like the comforts that we have. It is this tug and pull between like, on an individual level, what are the things I can do to relax, but then it's in a place like Korea where societally it's all about like maximum efficiency and like providing comfort and resources in that regard. But Wilfred, how are you feeling?
I'm all right. Last week when we recorded and it didn't work out, I was just getting over COVID. And then as soon as I got over the COVID, this cat punched me in the face. I have dreams of kissing a girl in 2022.
Nice.
Hopefully, I don't get pink eye or whatever next.
Damn.
But I'm doing fine. I'm stressed about the cats.
Oh God.
Because I got COVID, I did lose a job opportunity.
Damn.
So I'm a little stressed about money right now, but I'm gonna make it through.
Yeah.
I haven't died yet, so I'm good.
That was the least persuasive answer You said, "I feel fine," and then you proceeded to tell us about all of your concerns.
Yeah. Well, who's listing positive things? Come on. Well, what am I to say? Oh, I'm in Europe having a great time.
You know, it's just the culture is so beautiful, and the people, and I don't know. It's what to say.
Did you really have foie gras for lunch?
Yeah.
Lunch. Wow.
Nice.
No, it wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. It was great.
Yeah, I like foie gras so much. I love, you know what I love in France? The whatever something it's called, an aspic, like it's like meat, like suspended in meat jelly. I know it sounds weird, but it's
I
really
don't think
good.
I've had that.
It's like Jello made of meat. Yeah, it's good.
You guys really are more. I'm making this distinct line, where I feel like because Youngmi, what's your Asian?
I'm Korean.
Okay, and Brian, you're Korean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, and I'm going to say that also Japanese, like you guys are just more adventurous in eating than my people.
Wait, don't they have? You're Filipino. Don't they have balut? I feel like balut is like.
Balut's
I'm like,
pretty
that's
adventurous.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Is it? I've never had that. Have you had
now
that?
You just come off as ignorant, Wilfred.
Well, but balut is just it's an egg. It's just a little bit more developed it's in between an egg and a chicken. So that's like which are
what's
two
weird?
normal
What's
things.
weird about what's weird about that, Youngmi?
Yeah.
Nothing weird about it. I just haven't had it. It's adventurous.
Yeah, it has some feathers in it.
I know.
It's
I
like
know where you can get
basically
it,
yolk.
Where?
There's a store on like 14th and A that has it.
It's a store or a restaurant?
It's like a Filipino like deli.
Oh, that's like right by my son's school. I think I walked by there.
Yeah. They have it
Okay,
there.
I'll go. You know, once I was during last COVID, like 2020, I was on Seamless and I saw that a restaurant delivered balut and I was like, wow, this really doesn't mean anything to be in quarantine. You can just get anything you want.
Yeah. Also, to me, that's like I remember like I want to say like 2015, sometime around there. Like Filipino food was like hip.
It was popping off,
and that felt cool. Like that was like my seeing Aquafina on TV. Like that was representation to me. Was like just having a white person eat my food.
So since last week when we first recorded Wilfred, things have changed.
Everything's different.
We never really spoken to you or had a really in-depth conversation with you. We knew of you because through the comedy scene, but then, you know, after we got into it for an hour and 20 minutes, you revealed to us that you were hating on us.
Oh yeah, at the very end. Oh my god, that was so funny.
I didn't know where you were.
That's like the last thing you said.
Yeah, we're gonna start this way. Youngmi has food poisoning. Who gives a shit? Nothing matters.
I'm sweating.
Okay, so yes, I will review. I think this is a fun topic actually. Look,
it is a fun topic.
In the world of entertainment, there aren't a lot of jobs. There aren't a lot of successes, and we're also I feel like in the Asians in entertainment, or maybe minorities in entertainment in general, there's this like we're trained to think there aren't enough spaces for all of us.
Right.
And so you guys got that write up in Hype Bay, and I'm a guy that
You're like,
reads
I'm a big hype bay. You're a big hype bay.
I'm a fucking big bay. But yeah, I read Hype Beast. I know what Hype Bay is. Like I'll check it out every once in a while to see what women are up to. So to me that was like a big thing. And I actually no, not even to me. It was a big thing. That was like cool for you guys to get that. And there are some people sometimes when you're not in a good place and you see something and your initial response is, oh fuck that, because you want it.
Right.
And so I was just jealous of you when I saw that write up, because like I've known of you, Youngmi. I think you and I have done one show together, and Brian, you and I have done a few shows together and met, just like, you know, hanging out casually. But like we're not close enough for me to be like, oh, that's like, let me just fucking send him a
I'm gonna
congratulations
send
text
this to you and then say fuck you.
Yeah,
But
yeah, we're not
like,
that close.
We know each other. No, we're not that close.
So I kept it inside for like a year.
Wow. And it festered.
Yeah.
Well, Wilfred, I will say, kudos to you. I think it takes a lot to admit that, because I get that feeling all the time. When you, that sort of jealousy, I totally understand, because I'm like, man, fuck this person. But ultimately, at the end, you're like, whatever, they deserve it. They worked really hard. But I remember a conversation that we had. I think it was like the first time we really spoke to each other, like in a it was sort of it was a comedy party, but it wasn't like at a show or anything. So we were able to talk just like as human beings. And because I know you come from Seattle, and I remember you mentioned something about feeling a little bit ostracized from the comedy scene in New York, like the Asian comedy scene in New York. And that I remember that conversation because, like, young me, like, we talk a lot about this podcast. We're like, we're trying to create this platform where it's like really inclusive and kind of like let everyone in on the party and in on the action. But then when you expressed that to me, I was like, I kind of felt somewhat to blame for, or like felt a little bit bad, because I'm like, in a way, I'm like, fuck, we are like, I feel like it can get pretty cliquey. Like, does it feel cliquey like when you came to New York and you're like, and you're like navigating it?
It still does. Like actually, young me, I kind of want your answer too, because I feel like my experience with it, like when you said the words Asian comedy scene, I still feel like I was like, there was a part of me that was like, does that exist? Like, am I the only one that's not in it? Like, like you guys are all hanging out and having a great time. And I mean, after talking about this and like thinking about it, I have come to realize that like, it's just about like where I've invested my time. And like, I have a lot of friends that aren't Asian comedians, and I didn't invest my time into the Asian comedian scene, or like into, I've never really invested my time into developing an Asian fan base prior to the last like 2 years. So like, that's why I'm not, in reality, that's why I'm not a part of it. But it's still like, I think when we were talking, that was like, I was in a very low point, and I was just like, why? So there was an Asian comedy festival, I think in the summer, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't invited to that. I asked if I could perform on it, like, which to me, like, because we're all peers, and I was like, oh, those are all my, like, those are people that I respect, but like, we're all doing the same shows in New York and everything. I should be able to get on this. So I asked. I thought I was humbling myself to ask. And then they were like, can you submit a video for the video like part of it? And I was like, no, no, I'm not going to do any more than that. What I've already done. And then that same week there was a Brown comedy picnic or whatever that I didn't get invited to. And so I was just like, oh, I feel very, not that I feel like everyone's excluding me. I just, what's even worse is my name's not even coming up. Like, that's scary to me. I'm losing relevance as a person and as a comedian in this scene. So that's what was like the overarching like feeling,
right,
when we were talking.
So we're just hating from outside the club. I'm just kidding.
I was just looking through the windows, like window shopping. It's like, oh, look at all those Asians in there.
I mean, I
don't want to be part of that. Eating their sea squirt and shit.
I didn't want to go. No, I guess the question is like what you were saying in the beginning, like because I know that obviously, on this podcast we talk about how there's like no right way to be an Asian, just you existing and living. That means that you're an Asian American. But I do know that there's a lot of like Asian Americans that don't have Asian friends, or usually just hang out with white friends. I know Jenny Aramoto, who was on the podcast, talked about that a little bit, but for her it was like it's because there were no other Asians in her community growing up. So like for you, was that like a conscious decision, like to not really have Asian friends, or like how did that happen, or did it just happen? Or
well, I remember when I was like in middle school, I'm trying to pretend like we haven't talked about this already. But
man, Wilfred's saying a lot.
When I was in middle school, I remembered there was the only stereotype that I recalled, the first stereotype that I recalled that was like thrown at me about Asians was that Asians always hang out together. Like you can see them at like in packs of Asians roaming around the malls. This is back when this is before tall tees. I think Asians were wearing still wearing Vince Carter jerseys or whatever.
Why is that so funny to me? This is like the weirdest stereotype.
I mean, it hanging out with each other.
Yeah.
White people are always hanging out with other white people. It's like, why are you whites always?
But I remember that like really seeping into my brain, and I went to high school, and my high school was very diverse. It was an all boys Catholic school, and it was so diverse that there were multiple black tables, Asian tables, whatever. And I didn't sit at the Asian table freshman year, and I remember getting made fun of for that, for like sitting with the white kids. And
wow,
I don't know.
Who was making fun of you? The Asians?
The Asians, the Filipinos.
Wow.
Of all. But it kind of, I think, you become a creature of habit, and I just like find myself naturally gravitating towards I don't have a lot of Asian friends right now, so I have a lot of friends that are everything else, but Asians just aren't in the small circle of my friends. So, I gravitate towards whoever, but usually not Asians. But I've been making a conscious decision to reach out. Like I remember, Brian, when you and I did that show together at what was that fucking
Subculture?
Subculture, yeah.
Yeah.
Like right when I got off stage, like we fucking beeline to each other to talk, because I think you went up right before me, and then I went up right after you. Like we beeline, we're like, hey, I've heard of you. Like let's, and then we just like chopped it up for a quick second, and that, like I remember this because it like left a positive feeling for me. I was like, oh, that's great. Like I can just connect with an Asian guy that and not see him as competition or whatever.
And so it's la vie is a very beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, he's French now.
Friendship. Yeah, I mean, and I know. Yeah, I remember you were talking about the thing that you just brought up. In the comedy world, they literally will only put one Asian on the lineup.
Oh yeah.
And so you don't really run into other Asians because you'll never see them at the same show. If they book, if they're gonna book Brian, they're not gonna book you. And
yeah, I'm on in 2 weeks. I'm not on the same exact one. Like we had I hadn't met Brian for maybe until I was a year and a half or 2 years in. Fumi was right when I moved here, everyone was like, oh, do you know Fumi? He's on every show. And I was like, he's never on the show that I'm on.
Yeah.
And then about a year later, I met him, and we were like, you're the guy that everyone's been. And he said the same thing to me. You're the guy that everyone's telling me I need to meet. And yeah, it's such a big scene, but there still are so little Asians that are active in it, in the comedy scene. So we don't see each other.
You know what's so insane? I was thinking about this other day. Tell me if you know of somebody. Who are the Asian women stand-up comedians in New York City? I know Julia Shiplet. Who? I can't think of any.
There's a few.
Obviously,
I know some Filipinos that are in it, but it's they're newer to stand-up. So
exactly. Yeah, I know a few friends that are newer, but there's nobody in the scene that I would be afraid to be booked against or something.
Margaret Cho, Ali Wong.
You're talking about LA? Those are LA comics.
No, I mean like in New York City, like in our peer group.
Yeah.
Like in our peer group. I can't think of any. Like Julia Shiplet. And I'm sorry if you're my you know.
I consider them very good friends of the podcast.
I gotta fake it till I make it. It's just me and Ali. It's just me and Ali Wong. No, I mean I know there's a lot of Asian women. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anyone, but like it's just like I just don't know anyone. Like I don't see anyone like really getting booked on the same shows or anything.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Asian women.
In terms of like, there aren't. I think culturally Asians aren't raised to be funny.
What?
In American culture, we are raised like.
I'm down for this hot take. Let's do it.
Okay, Wilfred's got a hot take.
I was raised to have good grades, be obedient, like funny and obedient don't line up. Like funny is breaking the rules. That's what breaking the norms and the expectations.
For sure. Yeah.
I wasn't raised to be funny. I think culturally Asians were the model minority. So we in general fall towards that. So you've got a lot less Asians trying to be comedians until recently. I think in the last 10 years, you've got more people trying and seeing that it's possible because of representation and whatnot. But, and then just to get where we are at in comedy, I'm going to fucking pat us all on the back for a sec. It takes a lot of work. I've been doing this shit for 11 years now. And like, it takes a lot of work. And being broke, with Asian parents who are like, why the fuck are you broke? For this long, like it's a lot of like things that you're fighting against, and I think the percentage of people that even get as far as we do in comedy, percentage of people that try comedy, and then I'm including the people that try it once and quit, we're less than 1% that make it this far. So 1% of like all the Asians that make it this far, it's hard to get to even the middle of New York comedy, you know?
Damn, Wilfred, dropping the truth.
I'm feeling good about myself now.
No, but what you said resonated with me a lot because, you know, culturally, I agree. I don't think it's a quality that is embraced that much because, like, a word in Korean that I heard a lot growing up is like, youngmi, you know, like 떠들어, like, like it means like just to make like a lot of noise and like. Capture attention. You're like, 왜 이렇게 떠들어? Like, why are you like just making your presence be known so much? Like,
it's like being it's loud. Like when we were celebrating the nurses,
hitting the pot. I'm gonna start doing that again. My neighbor is gonna be like, no. So for both of you growing up, when you're trying to be funny, your parents like look down on that.
Oh, I'm not. My family doesn't think I'm funny. They don't know that. That's how my family doesn't see that side of me. They only see the fact that like I'm the good Asian.
So you're just
at
so
home.
they just think you're quietly sitting in your room being broke and doing nothing.
He's just so he's just being broke in New York. No, my family. I think it took me. It was probably like year 6 when I told them that I did stand up. And I and you know, I think my parents have seen me do stand up 3 times. I've had a brother that's seen me once. They know that I'm capable of this because I'm doing a pretty good job thus far. But they don't know where that is in me as a person because they don't see me. I'm not funny in front of them. I'm funny when I'm around white people, apparently. When I'm more comfortable, but
that is
it's
so
just,
interesting.
I mean, do your parents speak? Are they fluent in English?
Yeah.
So they understand like your jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I thought maybe it's like there's a language barrier happening. Because that's the case with my parents. Like.
Oh really?
They don't know I'm funny, but they just don't have the English fluency to know that I'm being like sarcastic or.
So Brian, you don't joke
like,
with your
subtext of
parents?
Things.
Yeah, you don't like. You're not funny with your parents either.
I am. But that's just who I am. So, like, I am silly with them, but I tone it down for sure because, yeah. I don't know. I try to crack jokes with them and stuff, but it doesn't really come up. Like, I'm very sincere with my parents, and those are the types of conversations I like having with them anyways. Because it doesn't really come up that often.
Yeah.
You know? We're not like talking about pop culture references and stuff like that.
My take is totally different than Wilfred's because I think Korean people are so fucking funny, and I think it's highly valued to be a clever and humorous conversationalist. I think in Korean culture that's extremely highly valued, and they really think
that's a generational thing though, because I remember the first time I told my dad I started doing comedy.
Yeah.
My dad was like, "It's such a low class thing. Like, what are you, a court jester?
No, I don't
Just
think.
like
I don't think they
dancing on stage.
I don't
for
mean.
what?
I don't mean valued as in like they think it's as good as being a doctor. They just. I think in like day-to-day relationships in Korea, like people really like it when people are funny, and I think it's valued societally. They're not gonna give you money. You know what I mean? Like they like people.
Right.
They like people that are very funny. You know.
Yeah.
And they respect it in a way. And I think like how Korean people talk, like their dialogue is just inherently humorous. That's like my take, but also, you know, I have a very like very rough family. They're all like very country. They're super country, and they have like a thick accent, and they're just like like you know, making moonshine in the bathtub. Like that's my Korean family. So like I don't know.
I see both sides of it though, because in corporate culture in Asia, you get promoted by keeping your head down and not tadro and not making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Whereas in America, it is very much like be fucking annoying and ask for a raise and be loud. And those are like qualities of stand-up comedians of like, look at me, I'm loud, I'm irreverent, I'm making a lot of noise, I'm funny, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Filipinos are very funny amongst each other. So you're right. Like it feels like within when Asians can let their hair down, they feel like they are funny. I feel like because my parents were, you know, they were immigrants, they were broke. They didn't they weren't around to instill any of their, also they were raised by shitty parents, so they weren't around to raise me with like the values that matter to them. And so I was mostly raised by social expectations, and I think that society was like, hey, just be an obedient Asian.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's kind of like subjective. It's not, you know, like I hate generalizing with it, you know, for Asians anyway. It sounds like, you know, all of us have different families. Like, you know, my family was like funny, but there were, you know, and that doesn't mean that's every Korean family, you know. So
yeah, but I gotta say, Wilfred, there's like an opportunity cost here. You could lead into this Filipino culture, because this is just my observation. When anyone if someone is Filipino and they kind of pop off a little bit in pop culture, die hard fans. Like Joe Coy, he's like one of the richest stand-up comedians, and it's purely just through the unwavering support of the Filipino community.
Yeah,
die hard.
He's so famous.
He's so famous. Yeah. I think that there's like, I'm still trying, like, getting comfortable with being a Filipino comedian the way that I'm a comedian, because I'm not Joe Coy. I was actually just talking about this with my brother last night. I'm so not Joe Coy. Like, my comedy does not speak to Filipinos in particular. It's like kind of just like, because I'm much more American than that. Like I don't think I'm Joe Coy comes from, Rex Navarrete was the first Filipino comedian that really had some success, and all of his comedy he was also one of the first people that I thought was funny. It was all very much like, this is what your uncle is like. It's like, here's your fat drunk uncle. And all very, like, to this day I'm like, how did he work out all this material? Because like you can't go to an open mic
Yeah.
and then do specifically Filipino shit like this.
Right.
Because it was so particular to
Right.
Filipino audience. So I grew up around white people and around black people and did stand up around white people and black people. I was the only Asian guy
Right.
doing stand up in Seattle. I was the only Asian guy I saw when I was doing stand up in Chicago as well. So I just do stand up as a dude named Wilfred. A lot of it's like from my, of course I think about race all the time, but I'm like thinking about like, my jokes are just about dating. There's some Asian shit involved in it, but it's actually mostly about dating and the feeling of being
like
lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense though, because I've seen you, out of all of the New York, like the Asian New York stand-up comedians, I would say you're the only one who, on a professional level, like works the road. Like you're going to different cities and these clubs where they're not, you have no control over who's really coming into the room to pay a ticket and like see a show. And it's going to, at those places, it's like a broad brushstroke. So I get what you mean by like, how did what's the comedian's name? Rex Navarrete?
Rex Navarrete.
Like work that Filipino specific material when, if you're in Tennessee and there's like no Asians in the room, you could try it, but it's a scary thing to do it because even like, I'm like, it'll probably bomb,
I told you guys this last week. I was the only Asian guy I saw for an entire weekend in North Carolina. And I just had to like muster up. I was actually just talking about this with my buddy on the phone an hour ago. I was like, you just have to be stronger than the audience. Because the audience, like, once they sense like weakness in you, then it's like kind of like MMA or like boxing or whatever. Once they sense that weakness, then they'll attack it. But if I was like, what? I'm stronger than this. Who cares if I'm the legit only Asian in the city? Let's fucking do it. And I had a great time when I was there.
Well, somebody said that advice. Maybe I just heard a very famous stand-up comedian saying that. Like, you have to command the power in the room. And I didn't understand what it meant. But once I got the hang of doing it, like once I could do it, I was like, oh, shit, I totally understand this. Like, you can't. It doesn't matter how scared you are. You can't for a second let them know. Mm-hmm. But there's no way to learn it. You just one day it clicks and you're like, oh, that's what that meant. Wait, that was so.
And I also want to add that from experience, when you're doing a stand-up show in New Haven, Connecticut, to a room full of 150 blue-collar workers, and the average age is 70, your jokes about HBO girls is not gonna hit, no matter how strong you are.
Wait, so how did they like your jokes, Wilfred, when in that show that you were talking about?
How was North Carolina?
Yeah.
It went great. There was this moment. This is what I was talking about with my friend on the phone. There's this moment where, because North Carolina, it was in Wilmington, and Wilmington's a very blue area in a red state, and so it was a mixed bag in terms of politics. There's this moment where I was doing crowd work with someone, and it cited this like, kind of this like Trump. They made a Trump comment. And then there was like, there was some boos, there was some yays. And I said, hey, we're not going to fucking do this. I don't care who you voted for. I'm here to have a good time. And I want you guys to do the same. So let's leave all that shit at the door. And then after that, we had a great time together. I got to do whatever jokes I wanted to do. Some of my jokes do skew political. And, but I was just like, look, I'm telling jokes. I'm not here to fucking tell you how to think or whatnot. We're just gonna make each other laugh. That's it. And we had a fucking awesome time.
Damn. Can I steal that?
Yeah, usually it doesn't work. But
I don't care who you voted for. We're just here to have a good time.
Yeah.
Now, who here's seen the Sex and the City reboot?
There you go. I love that. Yeah.
That is so funny. I don't care who you voted for. Just
Oh gosh. Well,
pretend to laugh.
Wait, Wilfred. So you said earlier that one of your goals for 2022 is to smooch someone.
Smoochies.
Is to what?
It's to smooch someone. It's to smooch.
Oh, smooch.
Someone.
Oh, yeah.
Smooch someone.
Yeah, I'm trying to make that happen. Get some smooches going.
When I think the first time I saw you perform, we both had a joke about dating as an Asian guy, but I liked yours more, and I thought it was funnier. I think it went something like, you brought up how OkCupid did this thing, and out of all like racial groups, women find Asian men the least attractive.
Yeah, Asians we're the least sought after demographic.
Yeah, and then you said, well, let's do something about it. Or something like that.
No, there's
I'm butchering your joke.
All right, I'll do the joke. I was on a date with this girl, and I brought this up, that Asians are the least sought after demographic. And at first she didn't believe me because she said that Asian women are the most sought after demographic. And I was like, I said Asian men, right? Like there's quite the difference between us. It's not like dudes see my profile and they're like, that's close enough. Let's give it to him. But eventually she saw that I was right about this. She looked it up. She saw that I was right about this. And then she got upset on my behalf. She was like, wait, you can't have sex because of all these racist ideas about Asian men? And I was like, if you're upset about this, do something. Like, you got to be the change that you want to see in this world. So, yeah.
That's so funny.
And that line, how does that line work out in those dates you go on?
Oh yeah, this is.
Did it work?
Did it work?
That wasn't what. That didn't
really happen. This is a safe space on a podcast.
That didn't really happen on a date.
Wow.
The truth is that happened at a show, and then I said that to an audience member, and I was like, "Well, let's put it in a date. If I can put it in a date aspect, then there you go. There's the whole joke."
That is funny.
Wow. Well, are you single though?
I'm single. I'm out here waiting for some smooches to land. But yeah, I was well, last week we were talking about this, and this is right now, Brian, if you're watching this, Brian looks so fucking regal and handsome. And
He does.
we were saying, oh, that's right, the title of the show was supposed to be Asian Genital Time.
Oh yeah.
We're hotter than ever.
New episode, baby.
Yeah, but we are hotter than ever, and Asians, like, people
Do you notice
are starting.
that?
Yeah,
dating, like, are like more? Are you getting more people to swipe right on you, or like you're noticing more people showing you attraction in that way, whereas they might not have like 5 years ago?
I think.
Do you feel more desired?
When I look at like my white guy friends, like dating profiles, they'll have like 80 more matches than me. And like, I remember I was talking with my buddy, and he was like, what the fuck? Like, Wilfred, I had like 9 people interested in me, and I've been on this app for forever. And my buddy had so many, and he was like, that's not fair. And I was like, yeah, this is what life is like.
It was like your friend was like, whoa, racism does exist. What the fuck?
Yeah, he's like Keanu Reeves, like, whoa. But
the thing that women complain about, but when it's happening to my boys, fuck, this is fucked up.
But simultaneously, it's not even, obviously. I think that people are more willing to date a white guy than they are an Asian guy in America. Not even, but I am running into, because I talk about dating on stage, and I'm running into more people being like, that's not true. Asians, when I say Asians aren't deemed attractive, they're like, that's not true. I was like, well, that is informing me that people are starting to think Asian men are hot.
They're changing.
Yeah. So it's not, it's never going to be even, but we're inching our way there.
Can we talk about? We've never talked about this. Have you guys seen this? Have you seen the people that move to Korea and then they show you their Tinder matches in Korea? The men.
What?
There's like all these. Like, it'll be on TikTok. It'll be like this girl and she's like white or like not Asian. Like she'll be like whatever, and then she'll move to Korea, and then she'll be like, you guys have to see how hot the guys are in Korea, and they're all like BTS looking like hot models, and they're like,
that's
it's
crazy.
fucking nuts. It's like it's so crazy. But
So
then
they go to
there's
Korea horny
Yeah.
for Asian men.
There are these women now moving to Korea because they're horny for Korean men. But then the
Yeah.
funniest thing is, I used to live in Korea. Koreans are like very, very loosey-goosey with the filters. Like, they're very intense with the filters. Like, that is not the person that you're going to meet. Let's be honest.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And this
A lot of
girl was like,
filters.
yeah, she was like, oh, everyone looks so hot. And then I would go meet up with them, and they didn't even look like the same person.
No.
And you're like, bitch, that guy's not even gonna swipe right on you.
Yeah,
Calm
but
down.
but he
Calm
will
down.
because he's a fucking catfish. He's got like 5 layers of filters on him so that his skin looks perfect. That's not what he looks like.
The filters in Korea are so funny though, because I don't know if you know this, Wilfred. In Korea, it's like really popular for it's like a beauty a standard to have a very small face, and like there's even a saying in Korea. It's like, oh, if your face is smaller than a fist, that means like you're like a mean,
What?
like a beautiful person. And
Wait,
so
you mean
they
like
filter
like you have
the
this
Like a
size
fist.
of your face? Yeah.
you have like the same size,
Chumokmane, like it's like the size of a fist.
but is your head a normal size?
No. And so
Your whole head
they
is
think
small?
they think the smaller your face and head, 머리 진짜 작다. They'll say like your head is so small, like as a compliment. And so the smaller it is, the more attractive you are.
What?
And so they put this it's so I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna post a picture. They've put this filter on, and sometimes like you go to like H&M or like sometimes I'll shop online in the Korean stores, and they'll put this filter on all the models that their heads look really small. But I feel like they're overdoing it because like they're it's like the lip fillers in America. Like people
Yeah.
got used to what lip fillers look like, and then they go bigger and bigger, and now it looks like catastrophic. So
Yeah.
that in Korea they like they started making the heads like smaller and smaller to the point now where I'm like, you guys, this is so
Yeah.
weird.
Calm down.
it'll
They
be
got,
like
like-
it'll be like this head, and then the shoulders will be out here.
Yeah. It's like
Okay,
I don't
it's
know.
gone
I mean, that
too
looks
far.
pretty hot when you did that.
yeah,
though.
I just got horny when you did that.
That was
then
pretty
neck will
hot.
be
So I
really
think these Koreans
skinny.
are onto something.
I'll show you
Yeah.
a picture. It's so funny. Whenever I find
Yeah.
it, I laugh so hard.
If you're listening
laughed so
to
hard
if you're
today.
just listening to the podcast, me and Brian have been beating off to Young Mi's shoulder.
Giant shoulder.
Her
Damn,
Frankenstein
that head to
shoulders.
shoulder ratio,
Yeah.
almost zero.
Oh boy.
It'll be like that.
I laughed so hard today because my friend sent me this tweet, and it says, this person tweeted, why do all them K-pop dudes have these black auntie-ass haircuts? Every single one of them looks like this. And it's just like a black auntie haircut.
I swear to God. I've been thinking about that. Okay, first of all, that was my biggest problem with Squid Game. Every single person in Squid Game had that hair, like that fluffy ajumma cut. It
I
was
have
so
that hair.
Like Brian's hair. Oh my God.
Want to ask Wilfred the last question?
Yeah, Wilfred, before you go, we're going to ask you the question we like to ask all our guests. What is something that you're proud of?
Oh man, when you asked me this last week, I wasn't comfortable answering it. I was hoping that you'd have a different interview question.
You had a week. You had a week to think about it.
I think my answer last week is something that I stand by, which is I'm proud that like one of the things when I moved here in 2018. So I've been here for 3 years, including all these like pandemic years. And one of the things that I remember talking with my therapist right before I was moving, and she was like, "What's your goal when you move to New York?" And it wasn't like anything. I also didn't want to like give her a superficial goal, which is like, oh, I just want to be on late night, or like, I want to make a ton of money. I wanted to give her like my goal that I said, and that I think I still stand by, which is to be a comedian and be a part of the New York comedy scene as comedy is evolving, and to be at the forefront of the evolution of this art form. And one thing that I'm proud of is I feel like I am in the middle of that. Like I'm in the middle of the comedy scene. I feel like I'm a respected comedian that people think like is, I'm writing jokes on the forefront of comedy. Not that I'm like changing the game or anything, but like I'm evolving with it. That none of my jokes are like hack and from like 2002 or whatever.
Right.
So that's something that I'm proud of, that I've made it this far in comedy, and that I feel like I'm an active participant in the way that this art form is changing.
Spoken like a true artist.
What a great goal to have, because that is like, I feel like a lot of times people make these goals, like, you know what you were saying, like I'm gonna be on late night and like I'm gonna have a TV show, whatever. But like the truth is, like when you said that, I feel like I wouldn't want to be on late night if I was a fucking hack comedian.
I don't think hacks know that they're hack. They're writing jokes. They have like a different philosophy when they are approaching comedy, and they're writing jokes to be, that are just going to work. If my goal was to get on late night, I would have worked towards that. Once you accomplish it, then you're like, well, what's next? I don't want that. I want to continue to I want a goal that's going to keep me striving to be a better comedian. It would be nice to be more marketable, but also it's like, you know what? Like, we are being true to ourselves, and that is also important. That's mostly important. So, yeah.
That's great. Oh, also, I wanted to say in the other episode that we didn't touch on, I was like, I really wish I could hear what people say about me when they're hating on me.
Yeah.
Don't you wish?
Let's start a group chat if we hear anything.
Okay. Can you just tell me? I don't care. If you hear somebody say talk shit, will you tell me? I promise to tell both of you.
I haven't heard much about either. Young Me, I knew about you before we had met, but only because I was hanging out with Julia Shiplett between shows, and I think we saw your son, and then that was it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we were like in Manhattan, and your son was. And Julie was like, I think that's Young Me's son. And then that was...
You just saw him, like, out and about?
Yeah,
Dad,
he's out...
Young Me, your son's an influence. Your son's famous.
Yeah, he was out smoking cigarettes, taking pictures in front of murals.
People have approached me on the street because they recognized him. They're like, oh, my God, is that Mino? And I'm like, yes.
Really?
This is weird. Yeah, I don't know how. They somehow saw him. Yeah.
Your IG's popping,
right, I think that's a good... We can do something with it. That'll be the title of this episode, but it's also packed to each other, is that let's start a group chat and we'll inform each other whenever anyone talks shit about any of us.
Yeah. Positive stuff, too. You need positive stuff, too, so that way we don't just send each other, a spiral.
No. Just I want anytime, if you're my real friend, if you hear someone talking shit about me, please tell me what they said. Text me. I want to know.
That seems unhealthy, but okay. Wilfred, where can our listeners find you and your work online?
Just at Wilfred Padua on everything. Twitter's not. I'm not really active on Twitter, but Instagram and TikTok. And my website. I just made it again because someone stole WilfredPadua.com.
For our single listeners out there, are the DMs open, Wilfred?
DMs are wide open. Go for it.
Oh, wow.
Shoot your shot.
Listeners, you heard that. Shoot your shot.
Hey, you're going to be in the request folder. So we'll leave the request folder wide open. We'll see if you make it to
listeners, Wilfred said off camera that he checks his request folders diligently. And there are only 2 of them there, and meanwhile his white friends have over 100 plus.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's change that. Listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode. Young Me, where can they find you?
YM Mayor and Young Me Mayor on TikTok. How about you, Brian?
You guys can find me on all socials at It's Brian Park. Follow us on Spotify. Actually, just leave us 5 stars. Spotify now does
YouTube.
podcast reviews. So
please leave
give
us 5 stars. It's important.
just leave us 5 stars everywhere. And check us out on Patreon.
I'm gonna leave myself 5 stars.
I'll leave you guys 5
All right.
stars.
Thank you.
Woo! Thank you. All right, everyone. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.